It's our stories. Welcome to a world where real stories sounds like a movie script.
Have you ever felt like you were not a person but a set of spare parts? My father disappeared 25 years ago when I was 5. He never sent a postcard, never paid child support while my mother was dying working 2 jobs. But yesterday he came back, not to apologize, because his kidneys are failing and I'm his only chance to survive. He thought I would fall at his feet, but he forgot that karma is a boomerang and it hits us dead on. My phone rang at 2:14 p.m. on a Tuesday. It was an unknown number. Usually, I don't pick those up. I'm a busy man. I run my own architectural firm. I have deadlines. I have clients screaming about blueprints. But something about this specific ring felt ominous, like a draft of cold air in a warm room. I swiped green. Hello? Is this Daniel? The voice was raspy, weak, but I recognized it instantly. It was a voice I hadn't heard in 22 years, not since the night the screen door slammed shut and a car engine faded into the distance, leaving me holding a toy truck and wondering why Daddy didn't say goodbye. "Who is this?" I asked, though I already knew. My hand gripped the edge of my mahogany desk so hard my knuckles turned white. "It's Ray. Your father. Ray, not Dad. Just Ray." "I don't have a father," I said, my voice dead calm. "My father died 22 years ago when he walked out on a 5-year-old and a sick wife." "Daniel, please don't hang up. I'm dying." That stopped me. Not out of sympathy, but out of curiosity. The kind of morbid curiosity that makes you slow down to look at a car crash. The monster under my bed was finally real, and he was bleeding. "Meet me, Le Bernardine, tonight at 7. Please, just hear me out." I hung up. I sat there in my expensive leather chair in my glass-walled office, shaking. I looked at the photo on my desk. It was my mother. She died 6 years ago, worked herself into an early grave cleaning other people's toilets so I could go to college. Her hands were always cracked and bleeding from the bleach. She coughed for months before she saw the doctor because we couldn't afford the copay. Where was Ray then? I need you to understand the level of hell he left us in. After he left, he didn't just disappear. He vanished with the savings. Every cent. I remember nights when dinner was a slice of bread with ketchup because that's all we had. I remember the landlord banging on the door threatening eviction while my mom cried in the bathroom with the tap running so I wouldn't hear. I remember wearing the same sneakers for 2 years until my toes poked through the canvas and the other kids called me Trash Can Dan. Ray was somewhere out there. We knew he was alive. Once, when I was 12, Mom tried to sue for child support. The lawyer found him. He was living 3 states away, remarried, running a successful construction business. He hired a shark attorney who buried my mom in paperwork until she gave up. He had money. He just chose not to waste it on us. And now he wanted dinner. I arrived at La Belle Nadine at 7:15 p.m. I wore my most expensive suit, a $3,000 bespoke Italian cut. I wanted him to see that I survived without him. I wanted him to see that I thrived in spite of him. He was sitting at a corner table. He looked terrible. The man in my memories was a giant, broad shoulders, booming laugh. The man at the table was a husk. His skin was gray and waxy like old parchment. His eyes were sunken, surrounded by dark bruises. A dialysis port protruded from the collar of his shirt. But he was still wearing a Rolex. He was still wearing a silk tie. He hadn't lost his arrogance. It was just withering. I sat down. I didn't shake his hand. "You look like hell, Ray," I said. He flinched. "Hello, Danny. You look good. Successful." "It's Daniel. And yes, no thanks to you." He took a sip of water, his hand trembling. "I deserve that. I know I wasn't around. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that made the couple at the next table glance over. You weren't absent, Ray. You were a fugitive from your responsibilities. You stole Mom's savings. You let us starve. Do you know she's dead? He looked down at the white tablecloth. I heard. I'm sorry. Don't. You don't get to be sorry. You lost that right when you bought a new boat instead of paying child support. Why am I here? He took a deep breath. It rattled in his chest. My kidneys are failing, Daniel. End-stage renal disease. I've been on the transplant list for 3 years. I have a rare blood type, AB negative. I stared at him. I knew my blood type, AB negative, just like him. So, I'm running out of time. Dialysis isn't working anymore. My doctors say I have maybe 6 months. He reached across the table, trying to touch my hand. I pulled back as if he were radioactive. Levacy is a thing, Daniel. I have a family. I have a wife, Linda. I have 2 other sons, your brothers. Connor is 18, graduating high school. Liam is 14. They need their father. The rage that hit me was blinding. It wasn't hot fire. It was absolute zero. He sat there listing the names of the children he did choose to love, the children he didn't abandon. He was asking me to save him so he could continue being a father to them after he refused to be a father to me. Let me get this straight, I said, my voice quiet and dangerous. You want me to let a surgeon cut me open, take an organ out of my body, and give it to you so you can go back to playing Dad of the Year to the replacement family you built with the money you stole from my mother? It's not like that, he pleaded. I've changed. I was young. I was stupid. I want to make it up to you. If you do this, I can put you in my will. I have assets, Daniel. Significant assets. He was trying to buy me again, just like he thought he bought his freedom years ago. I don't want your money, Ray. I make more in a month than you probably stole from us in a year. I stood up. Is that it? You just wanted spare parts? Daniel, please, I don't have anyone else who matches. Linda is type O. The boys are too young to donate. You are my only hope. Then you have no hope, because the only thing you gave me was DNA and trauma, and I'm keeping the DNA to myself. I threw a $100 bill on the table for the water that I didn't drink. Dinner's on me. Use the money you saved on child support to buy a coffin. I walked out. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. That was just the opening shot of the war. I went to work the next day, hoping the nightmare was over. I tried to focus on the blueprints for the new downtown library, but the lines kept blurring. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped. I'd blocked Ray's number before I left the restaurant. I thought that was the wall. I thought I was safe behind it. But walls don't stop people who feel entitled to your body. At 11 a.m., my receptionist, Sarah, buzzed me. Her voice was tight, nervous. Daniel, there are some people here to see you. They don't have an appointment, but they say it's a family emergency. They're refusing to leave. My stomach dropped. Not fear, nausea. The kind you get when you smell something rotting. Security? I asked. I called them, but the woman is shouting. She's saying you're trying to murder your father. I closed my eyes. They were doing this. They were bringing the circus to my place of business. Let them in, Sarah, before they scare the clients. The door swung open. A woman stormed in. She looked exactly how I imagined. Linda. She was in her late 40s, dripping in gold jewelry. Her hair was a perfectly coiffed blonde helmet. She wore a Chanel suit that cost more than my mother made in a year. Behind her was a boy, a teenager, Connor, my half-brother. He was wearing a varsity jacket and looking at his phone, looking bored, as if watching his dad die was an inconvenience to his social media feed. You, Linda hissed, pointing a manicured finger at me. You heartless monster. I didn't stand up. I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms. "Hello, Linda. I see Ray sent the attack dogs." "Ray is in the hospital because of you!" she screamed. She slammed her crocodile-skin purse on my desk, knocking over a stack of papers. "He told me what you said! How dare you! After everything he's built?" "Everything he built?" I repeated, my voice dangerously low. "Do you mean everything he stole? Did he tell you that the startup capital for his construction business was my college fund and my mother's life savings?" Linda's eyes narrowed. She didn't deny it. She didn't care. "That was 20 years ago, Daniel. Get over it. He is a pillar of this community now. He donates to charity. He goes to church." "It's easy to be generous with other people's money," I said. "Why are you here?" "I'm here to tell you that you are going to get tested," she declared, as if she were ordering a latte. "We have a lawyer. In some states, familial obligation laws—" "Don't even try it," I cut her off. "I checked. There is no law in this country that can force a man to slice open his body for a stranger, and that's what he is, a stranger." Then the boy spoke up. "Connor!" He finally looked up from his phone. He had Ray's eyes, but unlike me, his eyes weren't tired. They were entitled. "Dude, just give him the kidney," Connor said, rolling his eyes. "It's not a big deal. You have two. Dad promised me a trip to Europe for graduation, and we can't go if he's on dialysis. You're ruining my summer." The room went silent. Even Linda looked a little embarrassed, but she didn't correct him. I looked at this kid, this 18-year-old who had never known hunger, who had never worn shoes with holes in them. "Your summer?" I whispered. I stood up and walked around the desk. I approached him. He took a step back, sensing the violence radiating off me. "When I was your age, Connor, I was working 2 jobs to pay for my mother's chemotherapy. I was skipping meals so she could eat. Where was Ray then? Was he taking you to Europe?" "I don't know. I was a baby. Whatever. That's not my fault. Dad loves us. He's a great dad." "To you," I spat. "He's a great dad to you because he bought your love. He bought that jacket. He bought that phone. And he paid for it by leaving me to rot." I turned to Linda. "You want a kidney? Ask your son. Ask Connor." Linda gasped. "Connor is a child. He has his whole life ahead of him. He plays football. We can't risk his health." I laughed, a loud, booming laugh that echoed off the glass walls. "Oh, I see. So Connor's life is precious. His future matters, but me, I'm just the spare parts bin. My health doesn't matter because I'm not really family, am I? I'm just the insurance policy Ray forgot he had." Linda's face turned ugly. The mask of the grieving wife slipped. "You listen to me, you ungrateful little brat." She stepped closer, her perfume clogging my throat. It smelled like expensive flowers and decay. "Ray is a powerful man. We have friends in this town. If you let him die, I will make sure everyone knows who you are. I will paint you as the bitter, Grady son who killed his father for spite. I will ruin your business, who will hire an architect with no moral compass." It was a declaration of war. She wasn't asking for help. She was demanding a tribute. I walked to the door and opened it. "Get out."
"We're not leaving until you agree to the test!"
Linda shrieked. "Sarah, call the police. Now! Trespassers!" Linda froze. She realized I wasn't bluffing. I thought I had won the battle. But Linda wasn't joking. By that evening, my phone started blowing up with notifications. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. She had posted a photo, a picture of Ray in his hospital bed looking frail, hooked up to tubes, and the caption, "My beloved husband Ray is fighting for his life. His only hope is a transplant. Tragically, his estranged son, Daniel, a wealthy architect in the city, refuses to help. He would rather watch his father die than give a simple gift of life. Please pray for Ray and pray for Daniel's soul." She tagged my business. She tagged the local news. The comments were already pouring in. "What a monster! How can a son be so cruel? Boycott his firm. I sat in the dark apartment, the blue light of the phone illuminating my face. They wanted to play dirty. They wanted to drag this into the public square. Fine. They forgot one thing. I had receipts. I had court documents from the 90s. I had the letters my mother wrote begging for help that were returned unopened. I wasn't going to defend myself. I was going to nuke them. The next morning, my business partner called me. He didn't say hello. Daniel, look at our Google reviews. I opened the page. My rating had dropped from 4.9 stars to 1.2 overnight. Hundreds of one-star reviews from people I had never met. Owner is a patricidal maniac. Would never hire a guy who lets his dad die. Heartless scum. Avoid at all costs. 2 clients canceled their contracts by email before 9 a.m. Linda's plan was working. She was strangling my livelihood to force me into submission. She thought that if she took away my money, I would crawl back to them, desperate for their approval. She made a fatal miscalculation. She assumed I had shame. But you can't shame a man for surviving hell. You can only make him angry. I closed my laptop. I drove home. I went to the back of my closet. On the top shelf, buried under winter coats, was a shoebox, a battered cardboard shoebox wrapped in duct tape. My mother's box of pain. She told me never to open it unless I had to. Well, Mom, I have to. I sat on the floor and opened it. The smell of old paper and sadness drifted out. Inside was the history of our suffering. Item 1, an eviction notice from 1999. Reason, non-payment of rent, $450. Item 2, a letter from my mother to Ray's business address, dated the same month. Ray, please, Danny needs winter boots. The heat is off. Just send $50. I beg you. The letter was unopened, stamped, return to sender, refused. Item 3. A newspaper clipping my mom had cut out, dated 2 weeks after the eviction notice. A photo of Ray and his new fiancée, Linda, on a dock. Headline, local contractor Ray, last name, buys $50,000 speedboat named the Linda. I stared at the dates. He bought a boat while we were sleeping in a shelter. He named it after the woman who was now calling me a monster. I felt a cold smile spread across my face. This wasn't just evidence, this was ammunition. High explosive rounds. I didn't hire a PR firm. I didn't write a polite press release. I went to the same Facebook page where Linda had posted her sob story. I wrote my own post. Why I won't save the man who killed my mother. I typed furiously. I poured 20 years of rage into the keyboard. You see a dying old man. I see a murderer. You see a grieving wife. I see the woman who helped him hide his assets so he wouldn't have to pay child support. Linda asks why I won't give him a kidney? Here is why. I uploaded the scans. The eviction notice next to the boat purchase receipt, which I found in public records, the rejected letters begging for food money, the photo of my mother's hands cracked and bleeding from work, and finally a copy of the court order where Ray's lawyer argued that $200 a month was too much for a growing child. I hit post. Then I tagged Linda, I tagged Ray's construction company, I tagged the local news station that ran her story. Let's see how much the town loves you now, Ray, I whispered. The reaction was instantaneous. The internet is a cruel place, but it has a very specific sense of justice. It hates deadbeat dads more than anything. Within an hour, the shares skyrocketed. 1,000 shares, 10,000 shares. The comments on Linda's original post stopped being supportive. They turned vicious. You bought a boat while his kid was homeless? You make me sick. Linda, you knew about this? You're worse than he is. Hashtag Team Daniel. Let him rot. My phone started ringing again. Not hate calls, apologies. My business partner texted, "Dude, I just saw the post. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. We are deleting the negative reviews. We got your back." But the real damage was happening to them. Ray's construction business page was being review-bombed into oblivion. People were digging up old permits, accusing him of cutting corners, which, knowing Ray, he probably did. Linda's reputation in her charity circle was evaporating. The generic rich mom persona doesn't work when everyone knows you starved a child. At 6 p.m., my phone rang. It was Connor, the golden child. He wasn't sounding entitled anymore. He sounded scared. He was crying. "Take it down," he screamed. "Take it down, Daniel. People, they're DMing me. They're posting pictures of the boat on my timeline. I can't go to school tomorrow." I leaned back in my chair, sipping a scotch. "Welcome to the real world, Connor. It sucks when people judge you for things you didn't do, doesn't it? I lived that life for 18 years. You've lived it for 4 hours. Dad is seeing this. His blood pressure is spiking. You're literally killing him." "I'm not killing him," I said calmly. "The truth is killing him. Stress is bad for the kidneys, isn't it? Maybe Linda should have thought about that before she tried to destroy my career." "What do you want?" Connor begged. "We'll stop. Mom will delete her post. Just make it stop." "It's too late, little brother. You can delete a post, but you can't delete the truth. You wanted attention. You got it. Enjoy the spotlight." I hung up. I looked at the shoebox. "Thanks, Mom," I said. "You protected me one last time." But I knew Ray wasn't done yet. A dying animal bites the hardest. I had one final confrontation ahead of me. Ray died 3 days later. I didn't get a call from Linda. I found out through a Google alert I had set up for my own name. Obituary. Ray, last name, 58, prominent businessman. Passed away after a short battle with illness. I sat in my office and stared at the screen. I waited for the grief to hit me. I waited for the tears, the regret, the sudden urge to beg the universe for a do-over. Nothing came. I felt light. It was the feeling of putting down a heavy backpack you've been carrying for 20 years. The monster wasn't under the bed anymore. The monster was dead. My phone rang. It was the hospital. Since I was technically next of kin, they had to notify me. "I know," I told the nurse. "I'm not coming to identify the body. Let his wife do it. She's the one who bought the boat." I debated going to the funeral. My friends told me not to. "It's a trap," they said. "They'll lynch you." But I had to go. I needed to see the box go into the ground. I needed to be sure he wasn't coming back to haunt me. I stood at the back of the cemetery, wearing sunglasses, hidden under a black umbrella. It was raining. A cliché, I know. There were a lot of people. Ray was good at shaking hands and pretending to be a saint. Linda was by the grave, draped in black lace, looking like a tragic widow from a movie. Connor was next to her, looking sullen. Then Linda saw me. Her eyes locked onto mine across the sea of umbrellas. She broke formation. She marched toward me, her heels sinking into the wet grass. The crowd parted. "You have some nerve," she hissed, her mascara running. "You showed up to gloat." "I came to pay my respects," I said calmly, "and to say goodbye." "You killed him," she shrieked. People started to turn and whisper. "If you had given him the kidney, he would be standing here. You're a murderer." I took off my sunglasses. I looked her dead in the eye. "Ray killed himself, Linda. He killed himself with 30 years of selfishness. He killed himself when he chose money over his own blood. I didn't pull the trigger. I just refused to jump in front of the bullet." She pulled her hand back, trembling. Fear flashed in her eyes. She knew what I meant. See, in the days before he died, I did a little more digging. Ray wasn't just morally bankrupt, he was financially bankrupt. He had leveraged everything to maintain their lifestyle. The big house, mortgaged 3 times. The cars, leased. The construction business, drowning in loans. He was counting on the kidney to buy him time to fix the mess. He died, leaving Linda with nothing but a mountain of debt and a tarnished reputation. The assets he promised me in the restaurant, they didn't exist. He was a con man to the very end. I watched as they lowered the casket. Connor looked over at me. For a second I saw fear in his eyes. The golden child was about to learn what it's like to start from zero. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But then I remembered the shoes with the holes in them. Good luck, kid. You're going to need it. I left for the service ended. I drove to a different cemetery on the other side of the town, the poor side. I walked to a modest headstone. It wasn't marble, it was simple granite. Mary, last name, beloved mother. I knelt down in the mud. I didn't care about my suit. Hey, Mom, it's over. He's gone. He can't hurt us anymore. I touched the cold stone. I didn't let him take anything else from us. I kept my kidney. I kept my dignity, and I exposed him for what he was. The wind blew through the trees. It felt like a caress. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the abandoned boy. I didn't feel like Trash Can Dan. I felt whole. I was not half a person waiting for my father to complete me. I was a complete man who survived him. I stood up. The rain stopped. The sun was trying to break through the clouds. I walked back to my car. I had a business to run. I had a life to live. A life that belonged 100% to me.
So am I the asshole for refusing to save the man who let my mother die in poverty? Some people say I should have been the bigger man, but I think being a man means protecting the people who actually loved you, and sometimes that means protecting yourself.
Thank you for staying with me until the end. How would you have acted in the protagonist's place? Write your thoughts in the comments. More fresh and controversial stories every day on my profile. Like and subscribe to this channel.